What's up, Bills Mafia? Welcome back to another season of Buffalo Bills football on Red, White, and Ruthless, and on Nickel City Mafia, where we bleed red, white, and Bills blue. Joining me tonight is my partner in crime, as always. We've been doing this for about 3 seasons now, in Sean Kula of Red, White, and Bills. Sean, man, how you doing?
We've been waiting a long 8 months for this, and all the culmination of the draft, free agents, preseason, it's all done. And we had a couple games already, and now, it's going to fly by, in a blink of an eye, but I'm going to try to enjoy every week.
Yeah, that's the thing is the season goes by so fast, but I mean, we have until February before we have to really spend more time with our wives and everything, which is kind of crazy that we get to talk about football for about 21 weeks now. And I can't wait for that. Even listen, my wife's watching and she knows I love her to death. So don't take that the wrong way, everybody. But it's always good to have some time to spend with some buddies of mine that I really care about too. They're, pretty much like brothers to me. And I can't wait to cover Buffalo Bills football. Like I said, 3 seasons covering it with you. I've been doing it on my channel for 7 seasons now, and it's like a dream of mine. So can't wait for the season to begin. But let's get into this matchup of the Baltimore Ravens and Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football. And as you guys know, this is Red, White, and Ruthless. We do not have any fluff. We don't have any filters. We kind of go crazy on here. So if you hear some profanity, just beware. This is viewer discretion advised. We might cuss on here as always, but we'll try and have a good time in this. But let's break down the matchup, the heavyweight matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and Buffalo Bills. And let's talk about the offseason moves that the Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens have made. This is the matchup between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson in the MVP race. And I can't wait for Sunday Night Football. We have the 1 o'clock games, the 4 o'clock games. Then we have the matinee, as I call it, and the main event in the Buffalo Bills. So let's talk about the Buffalo Bills to start off with. Sean, what have the Buffalo Bills done this offseason for people that don't know?
Well, there's quite a few things that happened. So we drafted the first 4 picks for defense, couple defensive tackles, Deion Walker, and Sanders. I know I can't remember his first name.
PJ Sanders, yep.
PJ Sanders, yeah. But and then Landon Jackson, Mike's friend, Mike's boy. And then we didn't get we got Max Harrison, but we're not going to see him for who knows. I mean, I don't even think we might see him until near the half of the season. But there was emphasis on the defense. Of course, we brought back Trey White. He's not playing. Brought back Jordan Porter, Jordan Phillips, but they're on the practice squad. Brought back Gabe Davis. He's on the practice squad. We got that Jackson Hawes, a tight end, who they were talked about as being the greatest blocker that they've ever scouted in college. So I'm sure with praise that high, they're going to be putting him out there in the biggest stage right away. And yeah, I mean, I think as far as importance goes, we're going to have to rely on these guys right away. Even guys maybe like Jordan Hancock or Dorian Strong who actually might have to start Sunday. So a lot of moving pieces, a lot of new guys. Really nothing new on offense except for Palmer and Elijah Moore. Now Palmer is going to have a big role, I'm sure, but with Elijah Moore, who knows? But Palmer is probably, being the first guy we picked up in the offseason. I think they expect big things out of him, and they paid him like they thought that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about some of the moves that we've made as far as the draft goes, with the rookies that are coming in that are going to have to play a big role. Let's go into a little bit more of the free agency side of things, what Buffalo did too, bringing in Joey Bosa and revamping this defensive line as well. They put a lot of money into adding to that front 7 of the Buffalo Bills, along with the extensions as well that the Bills made too.
Yeah, so I mean, Joey Bosa, that should have been the first thing I led with, because as soon as he's on the field, he's the best playmaker we have. And I know people are always talking about, oh, he's injury prone, put him in bubble wrap. Well, he's healthy now, and he wants to play. So he's expecting to start. He played, I don't remember the exact amount of snaps, but I just did a video on it for my D-line expectation video. I'm pretty sure he played over 500 snaps last year. So I'm expecting even more than that, at least that. Just let him play. He wants to play. He's 31 years old. He's got a lot left in the tank. He's a very elite pass rusher. He can stop the run as well. So again, I know the worry about like he might get injured at any moment, but let's just enjoy him while he's healthy. If he gets dinged up, he gets dinged up. But that's why we paid Greg Rousseau, and hopefully Solomon can take a step up. But I'm really excited for Joey Bosa. I think that's gonna. I mean, the Von Miller signing was great back then, but he was older. He got hurt. I think this will be a lot different.
Yeah, I completely agree with you too. I mean, that was a great move back in the day to look for that closer, and we needed a closer. And now we add in a guy that's a little bit younger, only 30 years old, and has a proven track record of doing it. But the same thing kind of with Von Miller is you look at, can he stay healthy? And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. If Joey Bosa can be healthy, he can make a huge impact on this team. And then the defensive line, some of the biggest moves that the Buffalo Bills made is adding in Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi, which unfortunately they're going to be suspended for the first 6 weeks of the season. But this defensive line, as the season will go on, you're going to see the depth pieces that the Bills have made, and you're going to see a rotation that's going to be fresh whenever they're on the field. And I can't wait for that. And you mentioned some of the offseason extensions that we made. We spent, I'm not even kidding you, over $500 million on extensions. Terry Fregula, he opened up his wallet, said, write a check for whatever amount you want for paying guys like Josh Allen, Khalil Shakir, Greg Rousseau. Adding into the mix, you have James Cook at the end of things, but also just making sure that you keep the continuity of the players that the Bills have drafted for over the years and keeping the core pieces that really matter to this team in check too. And that's incredible for a team to have. Let's turn it over to the Baltimore Ravens side and what they have done too. They've made some huge additions to their team, revamping the secondary by adding in Malachi Starks as their first-round pick, who is going to have an incredible role of being that top safety for the Baltimore Ravens, which is an honor to have because you have guys like Ed Reed that was one of the best in the nation for so many years. And then you have another secondary player that I can't wait to see him on the field if he is on the field for the Baltimore Ravens this week, in Jair Alexander, who comes over from the Green Bay Packers, the cornerback that was one of the most locked down cornerbacks for so many years with the Green Bay Packers. And this is incredible to see him come over to a team that has so many pieces on defense that they can beat you with just their defense, in my opinion. Would you agree, Sean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you mentioned the safety room with Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks. Now, we haven't seen Malachi Starks in the NFL yet, but if he's anything like he was in college, that's going to be the best safety tandem in the league. Kyle Hamilton's he's like as big as a defensive end, but as fast as a corner, and just can hit like a linebacker. So he's excellent. You know, Jair Alexander, like you mentioned, he's been always one of the top corners. He's been battling injuries, so we'll see. But the Ravens, they always do a great job on defense. They got great linebackers. They have a great defensive tackle and Nnamdi Madubuike. But I mean, everyone has weaknesses somewhere, and it's up to the Bills OC to find that hole in the defense. But they're just filled with immense talent. So
yeah, it really is, because you look at what the Baltimore Ravens have. I mean, there's a lot of talent. Patrick Queen adding into the mix. You know, you got Roquan Smith, and this defense. I apologize, Patrick Queen doesn't play for them anymore, so which is hard to believe, even thinking about it. But Roquan Smith in the mix. You have Kyle Hamilton, who just signed a contract extension for 4 years with them. And you have Marlon Humphrey there too. This is an incredible room that you can have just on the defensive side of the ball. Then on the offensive side, having Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, you have DeAndre Hopkins being added to the mix that we haven't even talked about either, with Zay Flowers and guys like Isaiah Likely that are in the mix with Mark Andrews. This team is stacked all across the board, and they're competing to be the number 1 seed in the AFC, which is incredible to see there too. I want to jump into the chat real quick just because I haven't had a chance to, and welcome everybody into Red, White, and Ruthless. I see you guys in here, starting off with Go Bills podcast, which is myself, welcoming you guys in. Go Bills. And don't forget to let us know where you're watching the games from. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to Nickel City Mafia, Red, White, and Bills, as well as Go Bills podcast on YouTube. I see you, Jake, in the chat saying, "What up, boys? Can't wait for this game." And tell you what, all of Buffalo is buzzing right now. Just drove by the stadium a few hours ago. It's popping over there. I imagine that the lines for, the parking lots are already packed. Imagine the RV lot is incredibly packed, and there's going to be people sleeping over at the stadium just so that they can tailgate and have a full 24 hours of just being able to party and have a good time. And they'll start at 6 a.m. Sean, they'll fire up the grills and start drinking, which is so much fun to watch. But I see Mafia Sports Report. That is Mike Fortin in the chat. He is in a hospital room right now, and I want to send my thoughts and prayers over to his son, who had I don't know if I should say, but a little bit of a surgery that he's recovering from, and I can't wish him all the best there and on a speedy recovery for him. Trek Reviewer coming in saying, "Say goodbye to Cam, LOLI," as well as Bills Fan CA saying, spoiling a little bit of news that we were going to cover later on with Patrick Ricard being out for this game. Mafia Sports Report coming into the chat saying, only I am allowed to call him California Mike. That is true. He does like to be called Mike Fortin. Jake Podger coming in saying, "I'll have to shower beer first thing in the morning without a doubt." And everybody saying, "Thank you guys. Love you guys." To Mike, I appreciate you guys sending your thoughts and prayers over to him. But let's get back into the offseason reload that the Baltimore Ravens have had. And I mentioned some of the offseason extensions that they made in Kyle Hamilton, but they also added into the mix Derrick Henry being extended for 2 more seasons. Ronnie Stanley, the longtime left tackle of the Baltimore Ravens, signing an extension. Rashad Bateman, another wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens, having a 3-year extension. They also have added and developed some players as undrafted free agents that made the roster, which is an incredible sign. Remember last year, the Buffalo Bills had Joe Andreessen, the Buffalo native, make the team. They have 3 players that are undrafted free agents that made the Baltimore Ravens roster. And Jay Higgins, the 4th, comes in, Keon Martin, as well as Ruben Lowery, who is a special teams player, much like the Bills added into the mix in Sam Franklin, the safety that's going to be their special teams ace. They added in Lowery as their special teams ace, and this is going to be, like I mentioned, a great matchup to have. Now let's go into some of the injuries for the Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens. I want to start off with the Baltimore Ravens side of things, and I have to pull up the injury reports real quick, so bear with me 1 second. But the injury report for the Baltimore Ravens, most players healthy, but they do have a couple players that are out for this game. Patrick Ricard, the Bills Fan CA spoiled in the chat, is out for the game, which is an incredible blow for the Baltimore Ravens side of things with a calf injury. Isaiah Likely also out with a foot injury. We won't see him, but Mark Andrews will be in the game. And then a couple players that were full, which we imagine that their game status is going to be fine, in Jair Alexander, as well as Daniel. I'm not even going to pronounce that last name because I'll fail. So forgive me for that one, but I won't be able to pronounce that one there. And then for the Buffalo Bills side of things, it's a little bit different. We will see some roster maneuvering that they are having. Kicker Tyler Bass is out for the game and is on IR with a left hip injury / groin injury. We won't see him. But the Bills did elevate Matt Prater, the longtime kicker in the NFL, comes over to the Buffalo Bills practice squad. They did elevate him to the game day roster, and he will be out there on Sunday, as well as Kendrick Green will be out there as well, the guard for the Buffalo Bills, adding a little bit of a workload to the offensive line, which will help with Cedric Van Pran Granger, who missed a lot of training camp out there too. The other significant blow for the Buffalo Bills is we have Tre'Davious White, the number 2 cornerback, doubtful for this game with a groin injury. Did not practice all week, and we probably will not see him. So that means that we're going to see somebody that has a little bit less experience for the Buffalo Bills come out there and be the starting cornerback. That could be Jamarcus Ingram or Dorian Strong, depending on which way the Buffalo Bills want to go. Or we could see somebody else out there, maybe Brandon Codrington. I think the Bills Mafia would probably like to see him out there too. I don't know what you think, John, about that, but we'll see what happens there.
No, definitely not.
Obviously, I'm kidding, guys, but I do see you guys in the chat too, asking questions about if Jake is going to go to the game, as well as Bills Mafia CA saying smash the like button for everybody. John Robert, welcome to the chat as well. Bills called up 2 players, I heard. Yep, that was Matt Prater as well as Kendrick Green being called up there too. But Sean, talk to me a little bit. I know you love the offensive line film. You do a lot of videos for Nickel City Mafia on that. But I want to ask you a question about the significant blow to the special teams unit for the Buffalo Bills, losing Tyler Bass. What's your thoughts on having Matt Prater as the kicker for the Buffalo Bills, especially after it was kind of a weird offseason where we saw Tyler Bass for a little bit of time. We had Caden Davis come in. We saw Ray Davis, too, be the kicker. Now you have Matt Prater in here. This is the 4th kicker for the Buffalo Bills in a direction that we don't really know is going to happen. What's your thoughts on having Tyler Bass in there? Missing him.
Yeah, I mean, as we brought a few good kickers in, but honestly, I know guys like Prater and Folk are old, but those 2 are like probably 2 of the most consistent kickers in NFL history. Jake mentioned when we talked about it in the group chat that he has the record for like most, or the best percentage for most 50-plus yard field goals in his career. He also, I heard Mikey and Tommy talk about it. He at one time had the longest field goal in history as well until Justin Tucker broke it. So he's, even though old, very consistent. Again, he only played a few games last year. He made 6 for 6. I don't think he's going to have to kick any like 65-yard field goals or 60-yard field goals, but probably anything between 30 and 55, he'll probably be money. And, hopefully we don't kick too many field goals. But I know for sure he probably won't miss any extra points, but I'll knock on wood just in case. But, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited to have him. And if Bass has to miss more than 4 games, I'd feel comfortable in any situation with him kicking. So.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the direction. And then the other question that I had for you is the number 2 cornerback position that John Robert brings up here. Who do you think is going to be the starting quarterback? Because the Bills like to go with some of the veteran players and play them first. But could we see a new trend for the Buffalo Bills where they're going to play some of the younger players first? You don't really see them in the first couple of games of the season.
Yeah, well, it makes, just because Ingram's played before, he had that game against Miami where he had 2 picks. It makes you think that they're going to pick him first. But that year we drafted Elam and Benford, and, I don't think really many people talked about Benford as far as people at the training camp, and all of a sudden he was the one starting. So maybe that's how Strong was. Maybe he, even though I don't think he was talked about too much, might be the one to come out there and start. And who knows, a situation like this where a guy that might not be playing usually is playing, this is where he can make a name for himself, where in a situation where he wasn't supposed to play, and then all of a sudden he's stepping up against one of the best teams out there. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, Strong is a super great corner. And I mean, Ingram, he's made plays, so I'd be fine with him. At the same time, you're not going to stop the Ravens every drive, so I'm not going to be pissed off if they give up some plays and touchdowns are scored, because you're not going to shut them out or even keep them to 7 points. So expect things to happen like that. But I think that if either of them are out there, eventually they'll get comfortable and do pretty good, or do good enough rather.
Yeah, it's kind of a question because I'm curious do the Bills go with Jamarcus Ingram because he's more of a zone coverage guy, or are the Bills going in a new direction where they're going to go with a man-to-man coverage and they have Dorian Strong out there? He's more of a bigger cornerback at 6'1", 205 pounds, and plays man-to-man very well. So that's why I'm asking you that question is, a curiosity thing. Are the Bills going to run man-to-man coverage, or are they going to run that zone coverage? Because
I don't think you can run man on a guy like Lamar Jackson. I mean, you saw it yesterday with the Chargers. Anytime they were in man, all the guys were covered. Mahomes would just run out, and then the corners are running with their backs turned to him, and he gets a bunch of yardage. You definitely can't do that with a guy like Lamar Jackson. So you got to run zone, and you got to have a spy. And I think if they feel like Strong is a really good tackler, maybe they'll play him out there instead. But I'm sure they'll try a mixture of both. Maybe they'll start Ingram. If he's struggling, they'll put Strong in, or they might just switch him to see what they got, and then they'll make the decision from there. I talked to Mike about it before. I was like, I don't think they'll put Cam Lewis in because I think they want to wait, in case he has to play safety or in case he has to play nickel. It's one of those situations where he knows too many things, and they don't want to just put him somewhere, and then all of a sudden you can't say, God forbid, TJ went down, who are you going to put at nickel? Or if you move, Cam Lewis from corner to nickel, then who are you going to put at the corner? So I think they'll just kind of keep him around just in case something happens. And but yeah, like John Roberts said, I would really like to put out just a 4-3 base instead of a nickel base. And if you get beat in the pass, it is what it is. You kind of got to make an assumption before the game, stick to a game plan, and I just don't like the idea of running, like, keep switching on and off, because if you're doing that, eventually the OC will be like, oh, they got the 3 linebackers out there. Now we're just going to pass because what's his name? Who's the old guy we got from Carolina? I forgot his name.
Oh my God, I'm trying to think.
But I don't even think he'd be the first one off the bench.
Dane Jackson, you talking about?
No, I can't remember his name. But I think Dorian Williams would be the 3rd linebacker anyway.
Oh, and I know what you're talking about.
I think I don't want to give too many obvious tells to an OC where it's like, oh, they got 3 linebackers in. They're going to try to stop the run, and then they're going to have different passing concepts out, and then we're going to get beat in the pass, and then we're going to switch to the passing stats, and then they're going to keep running. So I just think you got to have a great game plan. We played Baltimore enough. The hard part is playing Baltimore when they got Henry and Lamar, because the threat of the run from the quarterback and the running back is going to be difficult. But we've seen us play, besides that game we got blown out by them, all the games have been really close. That year, when the first time we played them, when they were, besides their rookie year when they didn't start either of them, Lamar or Allen, that 2019 year where they were 14-2, we only lost by 7 and had a chance to win. Then we came back down 20-3. We beat them in the playoffs twice, and we got blown out last year. So, I mean, most of the games are really good. So I think it should be the defensive coordinators and the offensive coordinators should have a good game plan.
Definitely. I completely agree with what you're saying there.
Greg Thompson. Thanks, John. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah. I don't think he'd even be the first one off the bench, but if he was the one, then they would try to set up a mismatch with like Zay Flowers on the linebacker like him, who was really slow, and then they would just try to exploit you that way. So maybe come out in the 4-3, and if they start passing, it is what it is. But you don't want what happened last year, the first play of the game, to happen.
Yeah.
And I know people were missing on the starting on defense that game, but it was still inexcusable how it all happened. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of we're thinking about things in such a perspective of making little corrections to fix the problem, before the Band-Aids even have been ripped. So, we're breaking this down and everything in a way that we don't really know what we're going to see. But, you could have Shaq Thompson, you could have Dorian Williams out there who had almost 100 tackles for the Buffalo Bills last season too. And you have a healthy Matt Milano that we haven't even talked about yet in the mix too. One of the best linebackers in the NFL when healthy, in my opinion, out there too, with Terrell Bernard back as well. But let's go into some of the X factors for this game, Sean. I want to you to go first with a few X factors and players to watch in this game. Let's start off with the Baltimore Ravens defense. Who are your X factors for them?
Man, I mean, there's you can probably pick anybody except for like maybe one of their corners. But I would say on the first level, definitely Nnamdi Madubuike. He's the guy that probably should have, he had a really devastating hit on Allen on that stupid trick play that we tried to run when we were in the process of coming back in that regular season game. He's very good. He's a do-it-all defensive tackle, stop the run, good gap integrity, gap penetrator, rush the passer. But I'm confident in our offensive line against anybody. But he's definitely someone you can't just ignore. You're going to game plan around just not just him, but he's the guy that OC is like, okay, we got to run away from him. We gotta slide protect him wherever he's at, because just like how Ed Oliver is for our D line. Now with Joey Bosa there, it might be a little bit harder, which is good. But I would say him, and then if I had to pick a second guy, obviously it's just Kyle Hamilton. He can do everything. I guess like 6'4". I want to say he is. He's huge. He has great range. He can tackle hard. He can intercept the ball. He's just always everywhere where the ball is. And if they get him where they want him to play, like in the box safety, then he's super dangerous. He could really wreck a game. So I would say those two on defense.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to say Roquan Smith. I mean, he's just one of the best linebackers in the NFL too. Somebody that you have to keep your eyes out for, especially with Josh Allen. If they're going to use him as a spy, you have to worry about him. And then, Jair Alexander, if he plays in this game, if he's a cornerback, I worry about him as he's probably going to be the number 2 cornerback for the Baltimore Ravens out there. And, just worried about that matchup. Not so much worried, but just heads up, on the coverage and making sure that you're leading guys open instead of, throwing the ball when it's not open for Josh. But we'll see what happens there. And then, the X factor is pretty much for the Buffalo Bills on offense, but who do you think has to step up in this game for the Buffalo Bills to win this game?
I mean, really anybody. There's a lot of guys that need to either prove themselves or have another good season. But
I should say as far as the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, just pick anybody besides Josh, besides the O-line. You can pick any receiver, any ball catcher. Any one of those guys has to step up, because, I mean, this defense is probably going to be one of the, if not top 3, the best defense in the league. So Kincaid, Coleman, Shakir, any one of those guys has to do something, because nothing's going to be easy. And I know we have, again, great offensive line, amazing quarterback, but these skill guys, Cook, I expect Cook to have a good game, but these skill guys, receiver types, one of them has to do something. So you could just pick either any of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it comes down to the wide receivers. Khalil Shakir, he does have an ankle injury, high ankle sprain that could jeopardize him playing a lot in this game. So it comes down to the weapons around him. And for Josh Allen, who's going to step up and be that number 1 wide receiver that we really need? Now, I don't say a number 1 wide receiver, but who's going to take control of the game and be the playmaker that Josh Allen needs in this game? Is it going to be Keon Coleman? Is it going to be Joshua Palmer in here? Or is it going to be one of the tight ends in Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox? I want to see who's going to be that number 1 weapon for Josh Allen in this game. And then the run game, I want to see what we can do with our running backs. And that goes for James Cook, Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson in here. I want to see, some good controlling the line of scrimmage type runs where we're getting into third and manageable situations so that we don't have to worry about third and longs and Josh Allen dropping deep into the pocket and then getting sacked too. So that's going to be great things to watch here too. Tyrell Shavers here would be a great option to get a touchdown too. I love that, John Robert. That's a great point here as well. But I want to see what the Bills can do on offense, especially not playing a lot of guys in the preseason. We got to start off fast. And that's something that worries me a little bit too, Sean, is, what the Bills are going to do on offense, just not playing.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the more you talk about that Ravens defense, it's like, man, can anybody even score on this team? And I know that obviously people are going to score on them, but they're not going to give anything to you. So everything's going to be earned. And I think if we take care of the football, you got guys like Shakir and Kincaid that can find soft spots in zones or just beat their man, and then you not try not to throw to double coverage with those safeties, but yeah, the running game is going to be key. Throwing the ball out of the backfield is going to be key. So I think if Josh continues his maturation like he did last year, taking care of the football, not trying to do too much downfield. If it's there, take it. If it's not, middle field and short, then quick pass, hit your hot route. We'll move the ball. Guarantee we'll move the ball. We'll score. So let's see.
Yeah, can't wait for that. And then for the players to watch on the Baltimore Ravens offense, who's your player to watch or players to watch?
I mean, saying Henry and Lamar is redundant. So, I mean, Zay Flowers wasn't there at the playoff game, so I'm sure week one, fully healthy, he's ready to get back out there. He's a great player. He's a guy we all, especially Jake, really wanted and looked at in that draft class. Phenomenal player. So he's going to be a guy you want to key in on, and maybe Mark Andrews looking for some redemption. He's again a great football player, would likely out. He's going to be the man. So I would say that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say Lamar and Derrick Henry. Those are the players that I'm worried about seeing. I'm trying to remember if he's still there, but Justice Hill.
Yeah, he's there. Yeah, he's a good backup running back.
Yeah, backup running back. I just remember last season against Buffalo, we were worried about stopping Derrick Henry, and then they brought in Hill, and he was a player that we didn't have an answer for. He was coming out of the backfield as a running back, and he was also having some big runs as well. You have to factor in not only Derrick Henry, but the whole entire running game of the Baltimore Ravens. You know that John Harbaugh is going to have an incredible game plan against Buffalo. They're going to find some way to mismatch what the Bills are doing, and you got to factor into these things quicker. And I want to see the adjustments, just like last season, the adjustments that the Buffalo Bills made from the beginning of the game to halftime to the end of the game. I want to see what the Bills can do to make adjustments and find a way to capitalize on the mistakes that the Baltimore Ravens are running too.
For sure. Yeah, and they got Keaton Mitchell back too. So him, Hill, Henry, and Lamar running the ball. It's gonna be a tough assignment for week one.
Really will, Sean.
I can't tell if it's lucky that we get to play them week one because they're not going to be fully where they would be by midseason form. So it's like it's almost good to play them week one, but I'm sure they're saying the same thing about us too. It's better to play us week one than it would be week 10. So I mean, I know neither team is scared of the other team. These are two of the best teams in the NFL for a long time now. But still, as a fan, I'm like, well, it would have been nice to play the Bengals week one because they're horrible in week 1 and 2, but playing Baltimore when they didn't really play in the preseason, we didn't really play in the preseason. Maybe it'll be a game where they'll make a mistake, we'll capitalize like in the playoff game, and we'll take it home.
Definitely. I mean, I can't wait for this one. So, Sean, let's get into the last segment that we're going to have before we end the show. Let's talk about the keys to the game for both teams. Also, I didn't mention the Buffalo Bills to their side of things as X factors for them. So I want to go into some of the X factors real quick for how to stop Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Who's your X factors here of how to stop them?
Yeah, well, we mentioned earlier, and then John mentioned it again, having a spy. Milano did that a lot in the playoff game, and it worked out really well, because while you're spying, you have as soon as he starts to run out, you follow him around, and you can also run like delayed blitz off of that. If there's a gap open and, he's sitting in the pocket, you can go at your own discretion. So that'll be key for Milano to have a big game. And I would say Bosa, because he's, again, the defensive ends and all the defensive lines are going to have a really tough assignment the next 2 weeks because you got a really mobile quarterback that can, even Justin Fields, it's not even crazy to say that probably one of the best running quarterbacks that's ever been he had like 1,000-yard season in the Bears too. Just so fast, so quick, so shifty. So the D line has to push the pocket. The edges have to contain. As you saw yesterday with Chris Jones, he tried going in for the kill, uh, went in, pinched in instead of kept contained, and Justin Herbert just ran around him and got the first down. And they lost the game. So you can't be willing. I don't get that sack right now. If you're pushing the pocket and everyone's doing their thing, and they got the linebackers filling in the other gaps, and he can't go anywhere, and you can get a sack, awesome. Or if he runs into you, awesome. But don't just try to go for that, and then he'll spin around you and go for a big gain or a touchdown. So I would say Joey Bosa as well.
Yeah, those are great choices, Sean. I want to bring up somebody that was mentioned in the chat earlier. I want to find the message real quick. But Deion Walker, I mean, this battle that you're going to see between Deion Walker, who is 341 pounds, 6'7", just a massive human being, what he did in the preseason versus a guy in Daniel. I'm going to have you pronounce the last name, Sean, because I'm going to fail at that. Politely. Coming in there, if he does play, that's going to be a great matchup to see if they go up against each other. But just seeing Deion Walker and what he can do and plug the middle of the field with possibly even Ed Oliver next to him, I want to see what he can do as a defensive tackle in your first game going up against Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, the runner-up in the MVP race to Josh Allen. That's going to be an incredible matchup there too. It's just great to watch. But that's the X factor for me is Deion Walker. What can he do as a defensive tackle? But Sean, let's move on to the last segment. And I do apologize for having a little bit of a glitch in the first episode of doing this. We're kind of rusty and I'm coming back to things, but
we didn't have a preseason either. So
we didn't have a preseason either. So, I take blame on that. We had a contract dispute with Mike and got our contract back in order. So we're officially back. But the keys to the game for the Buffalo Bills, Sean, I want you to go first. What's your first key to the game for the Buffalo Bills?
Stop the run would be definitely one of them. I don't know if you want to. I'm sure that was one of yours too, but it's important because although Lamar had an incredible season passing, they still ran 53% of the time. So they're going to look to run, of course. Why wouldn't you with Derrick Henry? And we should expect it. And if you can limit them to just being a one-dimensional team, they're still going to be really good. But the difference is when you pass, more opportunity for mistake. And then when you run, less opportunity for mistake. So
right.
If you can stop the run and you can force them into making more chance of mistake plays, passing the ball downfield, they can get tipped. The receiver can drop it. This can get a bad throw intercepted. Can get sacked, get strip sacked. There's just way more opportunity for the defense to make something happen on a pass than there would be on Derrick Henry running the football. He might fumble it once or twice a year, but it's not likely. So if you can stop him early, that definitely would help us out a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of what you're saying, Sean. I completely agree with you there, stopping the run. But I think that what goes along with that is maintaining gap integrity for the Buffalo Bills. We've seen it, against Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. We've seen Buffalo start to lose gap integrity. And it's so important in this game, being able to close the pocket so that you're not giving up the outside containment, which is something that you want because you want your other players on the outside, the cornerbacks as well as safeties, to be able to maintain the outside. You want to contain the inside of the line of scrimmage so that you don't have a run going off between the tackle, which would be Ronnie Stanley, and your left guard there. That's something that you have to maintain in there. But also, understanding when it's a play action, when it's a run game where you have that RPO, it's going to be really important that you recognize what the Baltimore Ravens are doing in this game because it's going to be hard. This is something that you have to worry about. You have Lamar Jackson, who's so quick with his decision-making, and Derrick Henry, somebody that's just a bully that goes out there, and he's a massive human being, and you have to be able to stop both of those guys while also stopping the passing game of the Baltimore Ravens too. It's not an easy task, but Maintaining gap integrity for me is going to be really important in this game.
Absolutely.
Sean, what's your second one?
Goes with kind of what you said about the gap integrity. You got to keep Lamar Jackson from being off script. Obviously, he's a incredible passer, and he would rather just stay in the pocket and pass the football. But as soon as there's opportunity once he starts running around back there that if everything goes right, he's running back 30 yards and either he gets sacked or he throws the ball away and it works out for you. But you still don't want that because he's faster than everybody on the field. He's more talented than anybody on the field, so he can make something happen. So if you can keep him inside and have to, bounce around, I can't go anywhere, he throws it away, gets sacked, makes an errant throw. That's really important. So I know everybody wants to see stats. So if you don't see a bunch of tackles for loss or sacks from the defensive line the next week or two, they're having even more responsibility this week because if they're doing everything correctly, it might not look like they're doing anything, but they really are, and might not show in a stat sheet. But if one thing is off on that D line, if Rousseau or Bosa bite just a little bit, and then there's that edge that the running back or Lamar can get to, and that ruins the whole play. And the other three people on the line could have did everything perfectly, but if Rousseau or Bosa messes up, then it ruins the whole thing. If Oliver or Jones or Walker or Sanders mess up, it just ruins the whole play. So it's very, I know, Patriot way, do your job kind of thing. It's the film study, I'm sure, is always crazy, but this week in particular, luckily they knew they were playing the Ravens last year. So, they have a lot of time to study and to know what they're supposed to be doing. And just everybody has to do the right thing, be selfless. Defensive tackles be the enforcers. Defensive ends keep containing. If you can make a play, make the play. But once you get to him, you have to bring him down. You can't miss. You can't whiff. You see again, Rousseau's been good. He's been getting better every year. He's not great yet, but you see him a lot. He gets to the quarterback, can't bring him down. You're 6'7", 260, 270 pounds. You got to bring people down if you get to them. You're bigger than any quarterback that you're ever going to tackle. You're stronger than any quarterback you're ever going to tackle. So once you get to a quarterback, we got to bring him down. But keep Lamar contained inside the pocket. Make it a one-dimensional game plan.
Yeah, completely agree.
It'll still be. I'm not saying it's going to be easy still, but if you got them running and passing on you, Lamar running and passing on you, Henry running on you, it's going to be a long night. So if you can limit it to be one thing, you can deal with that.
Completely agree with what you're saying, Sean. I think for me, the second part of it is, setting the tone for the Buffalo Bills. Set the tone of the game, how it's going to be ran on both sides of the ball. This is not just the defensive line. Set the tone of establishing the line of scrimmage. You talk about it so much on your shows, Sean, when you're doing offensive line and defensive line film. I want to see what the Buffalo Bills can do to establish the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I want to see them just go out there and play bully football. And it's a great mentality that you have when you have the Buffalo Bills going out there and the offensive line is ranked top tier in the NFL in terms of, their stats. And then the defensive line on the other side is maintaining the line of scrimmage and getting off the field. As you heard on Hard Knocks, you have 3 plays to get off the field or less to get the ball to Josh Allen. That's what I want to see is them set the tone, get into third and long situations for Lamar Jackson where he can't use his legs and he has to throw the ball down the field. That's where I want to see the Bills in those situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I don't lead with winning the trenches because that's always the obvious thing. But we did a fantastic job in the playoff game on both ends of the trench. So continue that. The first game, it was like, it wasn't that the offensive line did horrible. It's just we got down too quick, and then once that trick play happened, it just got out of hand, and it is what it is at that point. When they know you have to pass every time, it just gets hard to do what you're supposed to do. But winning the trenches as always, and like you mentioned, setting that tone, whether it's special teams, whether it's kick return, defense, offense, you got to do something to get everybody amped up and let them know here we are, we're Buffalo. So
I can't wait for that. Any other keys to the game, Sean?
Uh, I mean, obviously, mistake-free football is just a given, but don't try to do too much on either side of the ball. You're
Yeah.
playing a team where we had 3 turnovers against them and we won by 2. We had no turnovers that game. So even with 3 turnovers, 3 extra possessions, we only won by 2. Not that we didn't earn the win, but if you get extra opportunities, you got to take advantage of it. You don't want to give them extra opportunities. And hopefully the special teams unit improve. We can get some good field position. We can pin them back deep, and we can make some things happen.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying. And I agree with what Jessica Tennis here is saying. Welcome to the chat here, Jessica, saying that she's glad not to have the 300-pound fullback and Patrick Ricard out there. But for me, turnover margin is so important in this game. Like you mentioned, in the January game for the Buffalo Bills, we had created 3 turnovers, and we only won by 2 points in a game that probably should have went into overtime. I want to see them capitalize on taking advantage of the mistakes that Baltimore is going to have. Because there's going to be a point where you're going to see Lamar struggle in this game. It's going to happen. It happens to every quarterback out there where there's a play that can go wrong.
Especially week 1 with, sorry to interrupt you, but with week 1 with both of our guys that didn't play in the preseason, I'm sure they're going to have some 3-and-outs or a bad throw that could be not characteristic of either of them. And it's about, like you mentioned, winning that turnover battle. And, I know you mentioned that Josh didn't really pass a lot in the last preseason anyway, but playing with your team playing against you in practice and having the Baltimore Ravens be the first team you see, I'm sure it's going to be a big shock coming from practice to this.
Absolutely, it will. And one thing that, I watched the Hard Knocks series. I don't know if you did, Sean. Hope you did, because this is an incredible series to watch the behind the scenes of what happens in the NFL. But for me, Sean McDermott mentioned something that was really important, is the practice squad players have the same, if not a more significant role for the Buffalo Bills than just the guys that are out there starting. You have a job to do, even if it's a robot job out there. Make sure you're doing your job. And I want to see what the practice squad players are doing to help the team, go out there and go up against Lamar Jackson and players like that. There might be a guy, I don't know. I was thinking of KJ Hamler as the guy that would go out there and be Lamar Jackson just because of his speed that he has. But somebody's going to have to play that Lamar Jackson role in practice and show the look of what they're going to run in RPOs and stuff like that. That's an interesting role to have. You also have guys like Frank Gore Jr., I imagine, is playing the Derrick Henry role, as on the scout team. And those are tough roles to have. Maybe even a guy like Jordan Phillips playing the Patrick Ricard role, somebody that's a bigger guy too. But everybody has their job out there, and it's going to be fun to watch too. But I want to go into a question that was asked by John Robert here in how do you think TJ Sanders will do in this game, and what role do you think he will have, Sean?
It's hard to tell. Like I said, it's gonna if everybody's doing the right thing, it might seem hard to realize that they're doing something. They're going to make plays. Obviously, they're going to make tackles. They might get some sacks, and they're going to get pressure too. But this game plan is not going to be the same as it's going to be in week 3 when we play Tua. The week 2 game against Fields, it's going to be a little bit similar. Obviously, the Ravens have a roster that's leaps and bounds better than the Jets, but the same thing with the quarterback, the mobile quarterback like Fields. So the D line is going to have way different assignments and game plans than they are the next week. But as long as he's in the right spot, as long as if a guy gets near him, he can bring him down. As long as he's hitting the right gap, he's penetrating properly, and he's able to get to Lamar Jackson, push the pocket, and not get pushed back, then that's all I'm really looking for. But I think he'll do okay.
Yeah, I think that he's going to be more of the backup, probably somebody that doesn't come into the game quite a lot. Maybe he has a pitch count of 15 plays, 20 plays, somewhere in there. But I don't think he's going to have a significant role just because of the quarterback that we're going up against in Lamar Jackson doesn't fit that style of a pocket passer that, you can rush the quarterback on. You have to have gap integrity, like I mentioned, with guys like Ed Oliver going out there and maintaining their gaps. Hopefully that he can come into the game and make a difference. But we'll see what happens there with TJ Sanders. It might not be the first few games of the season that he has an impact, but possibly even towards the end of the season, he'll have a bigger impact too. Sean, when we end these shows, I always love to give a game prediction of how you think everything is going to turn out with, whether you think the Bills are going to win, do you think they're going to lose, what's the overall score that you think they're going to have? Maybe they win by 3 points or, 1,000,000 points. What's your game prediction for the Buffalo Bills? Where do you think they're going to go here?
Well, I mean, obviously, if you're a Bill or Ravens fan, you got to admit it's obviously 50-50. It could go either way. These are two of the best teams. Obviously, the Ravens have a better roster, but Lamar and Allen are two. I think they're – because it's hard to even say, because if you don't say Mahomes is the best quarterback, people think you don't know what you're talking about. But as far as talent and skill, I don't think there's anybody in the league better than Allen and Lamar Jackson. These two are the most gifted, most talented people that I've seen play quarterback. I know I'm only 30, but I'm sure if you ask old-time people, they won't disagree. They're incredibly fun to watch. Definitely for me, if you don't have both of them in the top three, then there's something wrong with your decision there, because they're definitely the two of the best. And I know I want our defense to be much improved, but because it's a rematch, because it's two of the best quarterbacks to play the game, because it's Sunday Night Football, because I want a lot of fireworks. I want a high scoring game. I want us to win, obviously, but I want both teams score in the 30s type game to really cap off the week. I know they got Monday Night Football, but this is a game that probably this is going to be, besides Dallas Cowboy games, because they're always the most viewed because of the fan base,
Right.
how big they are. This is going to be probably one of the biggest games of the year as far as view time. Everybody's going to be watching. So, I mean, maybe 37-34, 35-32, or 31, something silly like that. And I'd love to see something like that. And I said Prater's going to have a walk-off. So, obviously, I think we're going to win by 3. But definitely, I think you could still, even if you give up 30 points like that, I think you could still tell a difference if the defense improved than last year. Because, like I said earlier, it might be possible to keep them to 10 points or a little bit more than that, but I highly doubt, unless something bad happens. Like when we played them, we got 10 points. That's rare for us to even score that little. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and it'll be a good one. Hopefully we're on the great end of it and win a game.
So I give a prediction. I haven't even done it on my channel yet, but I think the Bills are going to win this game, and I think it's going to be 31-24, Buffalo winning this game. I think that you're going to get a totally different tone. I think they're going to struggle out of the gates just a little bit, but I think that they're going to gain traction towards the second half. They're going to take control of this game. There's going to be an interception that's going to take control of the game. Buffalo's going to have the lead, and they're going to come out of the gates with a wonderful win in week 1. And I don't think that we're going to see our boy Landon Jackson on this first game. I think that he's going to be a healthy scratch because they want to play guys like Javon Solomon and kind of limit the development of Landon Jackson so that he's healthy towards the end of the year too. I don't know what you think of that, Sean.
How many? It's usually you got to have 48 suit up, right?
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So let's try to guess. So like Jessica said, they called up Kendra Green, so Cedric Van Parent's probably not fully ready to go yet. Not bad enough to be on IR. So I say one of those two will be inactive. So you can call someone up and still make them inactive. Right. So Kendra Green or SVP. So we'll just say one there. So that's 52.
Tre'Davious White.
He's not on IR, right?
He's not on IR, so he'll probably be the cornerback.
I want to say one of the receivers will be inactive. So either Moore or Shavers will probably be inactive. So that'll be 3. So we need 2 more. Definitely not a corner because we don't have enough of them.
Don't think it'll be a safety either.
No.
So let's just go
Maybe
through the roster. It's not going to be a quarterback. It's not going to be a running back. Not going to be a wide. It'll probably be a wide receiver being inactive.
not a linebacker. Yeah. So I mean, maybe
It has to be a defensive lineman. I mean, somewhere along the lines, it's got to be one of the defensive linemen.
maybe Landon Jackson, and then maybe who knows? Maybe a linebacker. Maybe they might make the old guy inactive, Shaq Thompson, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the odds are probably going to be Landon Jackson's going to sit, but it'll be interesting. It's always interesting, the first inactive group. It's hard to guess. I feel like, but I think it's obvious it's going to be one of the centers, SVP or Kendrick Green, one of the receivers, and then Trey White, obviously, because he's hurt.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to even pull up the Bills roster just to see, my opinion of who would be inactive. Maybe even I imagine that there's going to be a tackle probably inactive too, just because that's kind of how they roll. You could see a guy like Chase Lunt be inactive for this game, but that does hurt the overall depth of the tackle position too, because you only have Ryan Vandenmark out there, but you do have Alec Anderson as that swing player on the offensive line. Do you think that as it goes for the 4-3 base, it's probably going to have to be Landon Jackson being inactive or Javon Sullivan? But as John Robert mentioned, he does play a significant role on special teams, so we'll see what happens there.
It'll be interesting, and usually the inactives are almost the same all the time, give or take. So I mean, once we see him this week, it'll probably be what it's like a majority of the season, depending if things happen or people get hurt, or maybe people, I want to give this guy a chance this week against this kind of opponent. I just think, as much as Landon Jackson has potential, maybe they just don't feel like it's the right time to bring him up. So yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, good point, Jessica. Sam Franklin. So did we get back up to 53 yet? Because I think we were at 52 last time I checked, and then we put Bass on IR, and then we might be at 53.
So we will have 53 players out there, just because we have Kendrick Green, we have Matt Prater out there too.
So we brought up Franklin. So Franklin, a wide receiver, Landon Jackson.
So Franklin is your special teams ace. So that's another thing to think about is, do they want to sacrifice special teams versus Yeah,
but he was late in the building though.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
But I mean,
so all right. So just so we can move on to the last part, I'll just say Cedric Van Pengranger will be inactive. I'll say Shavers will be inactive. I'll say Trey White will be inactive, and I'll say Franklin will be inactive, and then I need one more, and then Landon Jackson. So that's my 5.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with this real quick. Okay, I'm gonna say Elijah Moore inactive. That's my first one. I'll say Ryan Vandenmark, Trey White, Landon Jackson. Then I need one more. And it'll be, and this is hard. It's hard to even think of. Cedric Van Pengranger.
All right. So we'll see. I mean, inactive is probably the hardest thing to guess the first week. So we'll see. But I just hope the people that are suited up are ready to go and start the season off strong, because we haven't won in a long time.
That is very true. I mean, you're exactly right there. I mean, we're gonna wrap up the show, but can't wait for the Buffalo Bills season. We're less than 24 hours away from Buffalo Bills football, which is the most exciting part of the NFL season, is when we can cover the Buffalo Bills. Don't forget to double tap the like button, subscribe, follow us on all social media platforms where you can find Nickel City Mafia. Red, White, and Bills and Go Bills podcast. We appreciate you guys for tuning in for this hour. We said we were going to keep it to 30 minutes. We always lie. If you're betting in Vegas, take the over on us. You know that we're going to go long. But we appreciate each and every one of you guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow on my channel for the pregame show. And Sean, we'll see you on Saturday. Is that correct for the next show?
I'm sure we'll do the post game with everybody tomorrow.
That's true. I wasn't sure how things are going to go, just because
maybe. I'm sure
we'll see.
We will. If not, then one of my videos will be out this week. I had the O-line expectations and goals Mike put out a couple of days ago, and then obviously it's not important right now because his son's recovering, but that will be out. It was recorded before the season started, so everybody, if you see it afterwards, it's no big deal. But that one will be coming out, and then we'll be back Saturday. But again, if Mike and Jake are available, I'm sure we'll do a post game.
Sounds great, man. I can't wait. We will be live every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Red, White, and Ruthless. We'll see you again. As always, stay loud, stay proud, and go Bills.
Go Bills.